Hello everyone, welcome to History and Culture. Here, we want to tell a particularly thought-provoking story from Qing Dynasty history. The story of Empress Nara, Qianlong's second wife. Her life was full of ups and downs. She rose from a girl from an ordinary family to become the Empress, standing at the peak of power. Yet in her later years, she met a sad fate, with even her funeral kept simple and solitary, without a proper resting place of her own. Nara was born in 1718, in the 57th year of Kangshi's reign. Her family was not particularly distinguished in Manchu society at the time. Her father, Nara Erbu, was a Zwilling, a mid-ranking official. The family's life was comfortable, but far from the lifestyle of the rich and powerful. In modern terms, Nara's family was a middle-class family, stable but without a significant background. That she was able to marry a prince, Yongle, the future Qianlong emperor, means Nara must have been someone truly extraordinary. The historical records do not describe her appearance in detail, but we know she must have been quite beautiful and gentle. Otherwise she would not have been selected by Yongle to become his daughter-in-law. In a time when marriage was a matter of matching social statuses, a common girl could become a prince's wife only if there was something truly special about her. However, Nara's marriage to Yongle came at a somewhat awkward time. She was 17, that is, in the 12th year of Yongle, 1734, when she married in as his side wife. At that time, Yongle was already 24. He was deeply in love with his principal wife, Fucha, with whom he already had 3 children. Their relationship was passionate, like honey stirred into oil. Additionally, there was another side wife, Gao, who had entered the residence before Nara and held a more secured position. So when Nara first arrived, Yongle's attention was predominantly on Fucha, and Nara had few opportunities to be noticed. Picture a 17-year-old girl, full of hopes for her future marriage, but then finds her husband's affection directed elsewhere. This must have been a somewhat quiet and solitary time in her life. The prince's residence was far more restrictive than depicted in TV dramas, with numerous ceremonies, routines, and complex relationships. While a side wife was not without status, she certainly received less consideration and care than the principal wife. Nara, upon entering the residence, probably had to be cautious and adaptable, working hard to please her husband, get along with the other concubines, and navigate the complex court ceremonies. While historical records do not provide details of her daily life during those years, judging by her subsequent behavior, Nara must have been intelligent, patient, and resilient. Someone able to hold her ground in a challenging environment. Not long after, in the 13th year of Yongle, 1735, Yongle passed away, and Yongle ascended the throne as Qianlong emperor. As Qianlong came to power, he began conferring titles upon the women in his harem. Fucha was made empress, which was a matter of course. After all, she was his principal wife, his first love, with deep affection between them. Gao, due to her seniority, was conferred the title of noble consort. As for Nara, Qianlong conferred upon her the title of consort Xian Fei. The word Xian conveys grace, gentleness, and poise, a reflection of her character. When honoring her, Qianlong even praised her, stating, "She maintains her virtue gracefully, and her character is peaceable." In simple words, this was a well-educated, kind, and gentle woman. While Qianlong may not have showered Nara with his greatest affection, he certainly held a degree of respect for her. After all, she was only 18, with plenty of time to make her mark in the imperial harem. Yet, historical records related to Nara's early years are exceptionally scarce, with almost no details available. Some say Qianlong later ordered the destruction of those records, since their relationship eventually fell into conflict. Therefore, we can only piece together Nara's early life from a few scattered clues. Two clues are especially important. The first is related to children. During Qianlong's 20-plus years as a prince and after he ascended to the throne, he had 15 children with various concubines, yet not a single one with Nala. And we know Nala was physically able to bear children, which simply means their relationship was probably not very close. And Qianlong may not have favored her frequently. Picture a woman in the imperial harem whose greatest guarantee of stability is a child. Nala, without children, must have lived a cautious life. The second clue is her rank. While Nala remained childless, her rank stayed quite high in the harem, directly after the Empress Fucha and consort Gao, placing her third. This shows that Qianlong, although he may not have been madly in love with her, recognized her dignity, kindness, and worth of respect. Maintaining this position was likely due to her conduct. The historical records do not say she fought for favors, nor that she engaged in schemes. This suggests that Nala kept a low profile, acted judiciously, and knew how to protect herself amid the complex politics of the imperial court. This was Nala's quiet life in the palace. In Qianlong's 10th year, 1745, Nala was 28 years old. She hadn't borne any children, but she was promoted to consort Xiangui, a significant promotion. Consorts held high ranks in the harem, their treatment was lavish, with 8 maids in attendance. And food, clothing, and other necessities all of the finest quality. If Nala kept this up, even without much affection, her future was assured. According to Qing Dynasty regulations, a consort would most likely be posthumously elevated to noble consort upon death, with her own tomb and ceremonies, a comfortable resting place after death. But history rarely sticks to the script. Nala's fate was soon turned upside down by 2 major events. The first came in Qianlong's 10th year, 1745, in February. Noble consort Gao, who held the second highest rank, fell gravely ill and passed away soon after. This upheaved the structure of the imperial harem. The second, even more crucial event, happened in Qianlong's 13th year, 1748, in March, when Empress Fucha fell ill and died during the imperial tour. Fucha was Qianlong's first love, their bond was deep, and her death left him stricken with immense grief. In just 3 years, the 2 highest women in the harem were gone, and Nala suddenly rose from third to first in rank. At that time, Nala was 31, a consort with sufficient prestige and seniority. At this crucial moment, Empress Dowager Neohuru stepped forward to aid Nala. She said to Qianlong, "The emperor is still young, there cannot be a harem without an empress. An empress is like the moon, it must be alongside the emperor, the sun, to illuminate the world." That made perfect sense, but its message was clear. Qianlong needed to appoint a new empress, and Empress Dowager Neohuru already had someone in mind. She directly recommended Nala. Consort Xiangui Nala, she was selected by your father as a side wife. Her character is upright and generous toward those less fortunate. I can rest assured with her in charge. This was tantamount to a command. Qianlong should make Nala the new empress. How did Qianlong respond? He said, "I was deeply in love with Fucha. She's gone, and I'm not ready to install a new empress just yet. Mother, please give me some time to ease my heart." So, a compromise was reached. Nala would first become noble consort and manage the harem's affairs. Once Fucha's period of mourning was over, the official ceremony to elevate Nala to empress could follow. Here's a key question. Was Nala's appointment as noble consort forced by the Empress Dowager, or was it Qianlong's own decision? In fact, Qianlong later said it himself, "Nala was a secondary wife chosen by my father. I think she's suitable, therefore I sought the Empress Dowager's approval to make her noble consort." This shows that choosing Nala was Qianlong's own decision, not something forced upon him. After all, Nala's qualifications, character, and demeanor were plain for all to see. Qianlong was a wise ruler, he surely recognized that she was a fitting candidate for noble consort. At this point, Nala should have been quite happy. After all, her promotion from consort to noble consort meant that she was a step closer to becoming empress, with her status continually on the rise. But the reality was more complex, because Qianlong's subsequent behavior really kept people worried for Nala. Some historical records show that each time Nala was due for promotion, Qianlong couldn't help but bring up his lingering affection for Fucha. For instance, when Nala was appointed as noble consort, Qianlong issued a proclamation, normally meant to celebrate her, but instead he kept thinking back to Fucha, praising her virtues and emphasizing his deep love for her. When he mentioned Nala, he placed the responsibility entirely on the Empress Dowager, stating, "This was my mother's wish." He made no mention of choosing Nala himself. If we put ourselves in Nala's shoes, we'd probably feel a bit awkward. But we can appreciate that Fucha had just passed away, and Qianlong was still in deep mourning. Perhaps we can cut him some slack. Who could have predicted that Qianlong would continue to make things even more difficult? In Qianlong's 13th year, 1748, Nala was formally made noble consort and put in charge of the harem's affairs. The ceremony was grand, with many rituals performed. The palace was filled with celebration, yet Qianlong dampened the mood. He cancelled the large celebration previously planned by the Ministry of Rites, stating, "There's no need for a big ceremony. Nala came up step by step from concubine, so we should keep it simple." All external ceremonies were called off. And it didn't stop there. Shortly after the ceremony, Qianlong wrote another poem, Missing Fucha. The poem was called Melancholy, or Chang Ran, in Chinese, in which he wrote, "The harem looks bustling, but my heart feels empty." He even added a note, "My mother insisted I promote a noble consort, but every time I think of Fucha, I feel sad." One can imagine Nala thinking, "Must you bring up your ex-wife every now and then? It's so awkward for me, the new noble consort." But Nala kept her patience. After all, there was still a ray of hope. Once Fucha's period of mourning was over, Nala was supposed to become empress. The empress's ceremony certainly couldn't be simplified, could it? And indeed, on August 2nd in Qianlong's 15th year, 1750, Nala was formally made empress in a grand ceremony, spotless in its magnificence. After all, the empress represented the state's dignity, and Qianlong couldn't be careless. But happiness was short-lived. Just 11 days later, on Qianlong's birthday, he wrote another poem, "The new empress is here, everyone comes to celebrate, yet I feel cold and empty inside." This must have made Nala sigh quietly, wondering, how can I go on like this? To be frank, it hadn't been easy for Nala to reach this point. She came from ordinary birth, yet through her dignity and virtue, was first chosen by Yongle, then recognized by both the Empress Dowager and Qianlong. Her appearance, demeanor, and character must all have been extraordinary, otherwise Qianlong would not have chosen her to be empress. But Qianlong remained stranded in his own memories of Fucha, choosing Nala while constantly comparing her to Fucha. This incident reached its peak in the 16th year of Qianlong's reign, 1751. Qianlong wrote a poem in which he asked himself, "Is Nala not as good as Fucha?" After thinking it over, he wrote, "Alas, Nala is indeed not as good as Fucha." This was so blunt that Nala probably couldn't sleep after reading it. If Nala were a common person, she would have gotten into a big fight with Qianlong and demanded, "If you dislike me so much, why did you make me empress in the first place?" But in a feudal society, whatever the emperor said was final. Nala could only endure it. Fortunately, Qianlong's poem also shows a bit of progress. At least he began to reflect and think Nala might be not that bad after all. That year, Qianlong and Nala's relationship finally began to improve. They had children together. Within 5 years, Nala gave birth to 2 princes, Yongle, Yongjing, and a princess, a total of 3 children. This meant Qianlong was starting to appreciate Nala. Their relationship was slowly getting better. Nala was probably quite content at that point. From a woman of ordinary birth, she had become empress. and now had children, her life was much more stable. Nala was busy managing the imperial harem, raising her children, and sometimes accompanying Qianlong to ceremonies or banquets. The Empress's life, while busy, was filled with dignity. Furthermore, Nala's residence was surely one of the most lavish palaces in the Forbidden City. She was attended by numerous maids and eunuchs, dressed in rich attire made of fine silks, and dined on food carefully prepared by the imperial kitchens. From the outside, her life seemed perfectly complete. But nobody could have predicted that a dramatic reversal was soon to come, a reversal that would make people sigh in disbelief. The turning point came in Qianlong's 30th year, 1765. Qianlong was 55, Nala was 48. The two, along with a group of concubines, princes, and officials, went south on an inspection tour. This was a major event for Qing Dynasty emperors. They would tour the countryside, inspect the dikes, meet with local officials, and bestow rewards upon the people. Naturally, Nala, as Empress, was a key person accompanying him, second in rank only to Qianlong. On the morning of February 18, the two even had breakfast together in a perfectly normal atmosphere. Palace maids presented delicate dim sum, and Qianlong may have exchanged a few casual words with Nala. But by that evening, everything fell apart. Qianlong wrote a letter back to Beijing with just 4 words: "The Empress is mad." What had happened? The historical records only confirm this. Nala dismissed all her maids and eunuchs in the afternoon or evening and then cut off her own hair. Among the Manchus, cutting one's hair was a serious expression of protest or a sign of death in the family. Nala's action was a dramatic manifestation of her discontent with Qianlong. What's even more extraordinary is that when Qianlong found out, Nala not only remained unrepentant, she even openly quarreled with him. Qianlong later described her as defiant and disregarding the consequences. This incident was truly bizarre. Why did Nala suddenly do this? Nobody knows, not even Qianlong. The only explanation he could come up with was that Nala might be suffering from a mental disorder. After all, Nala was normally poised and composed, at 48 years old, already Empress with a stable position. There was no apparent cause for acting in this way. So Qianlong immediately made 2 decisions. First, he sent Nala back to Beijing the following day, stating that her cutting of her hair made her unfit to appear in public, and second, he ordered a thorough search of Nala's quarters to see if there was anything suspicious, for instance, whether there might be something threatening Qianlong's safety. Judging by Qianlong's reaction, he suspected Nala held deep resentment toward him, or even might have gone further. However, after the search, nothing suspicious was found, which meant Nala hadn't done anything else out of bounds. Otherwise, Emperor Qianlong certainly wouldn't have kept her title as Empress. This incident gave Emperor Qianlong a major headache. He was a person who valued his dignity. Yet the Empress made a scandal, and by the very next day, everyone noticed the Empress was gone, fueling rumors all around. By Qianlong's 41st year, 1776, there were even rumors stating Nala cut her hair because Qianlong wanted to elevate a new concubine. These rumors grew more and more wild, spreading even as far as Shaanxi province, with stories that Qianlong fell for another woman in Jiangnan and Nala fell out with him because of it. Some historical scholars, however, think these rumors are unreliable. For starters, Nala's character was not the kind that would cause trouble due to jealousy. From her youth, she was recognized for her dignity and generosity, and both the Empress Dowager and Qianlong valued her virtue. The historical records do not show her competing for favors with other concubines, demonstrating her magnanimous nature. Furthermore, Nala was already 48, a reigning empress who had borne princes. There was no need for her to break ties with Qianlong over a new concubine. Most importantly, cutting her hair not only humiliated herself but also affected the futures of her 2 sons, Yongle and Yongjing. A mother would not destroy everything except under extraordinary stress or tragedy. So Nala cutting her hair was likely unrelated to another woman. The most plausible explanation is that she simply lost control of her emotions that day. Why? We do not know. Perhaps it was due to the accumulation of pressure over the years. Or something we do not know. After all, as Empress, she was responsible for managing the harem, navigating complex court relationships, and enduring Qianlong's ongoing nostalgia for Fucha. All these pressures may have been building up until, at last, they exploded. It's worth noting how Qianlong dealt with this incident. He chose to give it the silent treatment. Nala was placed under a form of soft arrest upon her return to Beijing. All the prerogatives of Empress were removed, the 12 palace maids who normally attended her were dismissed. And only 2 remained to watch over her. Her residence was likely reduced from a grand palace to a quiet courtyard, its former liveliness gone, with just 2 pairs of strange eyes keeping watch. Qianlong also confiscated all her seals and ceremonies, symbolically removing her empress's position. Qianlong prohibited anyone from even mentioning Nala, and a minister named Ortai, who tried to speak up on her behalf, was directly exiled. Nala remained confined in the palace until her death a year later, at age 49, in Qianlong's 31st year, 1766. Usually, as empress, her funeral should have been a grand ceremony. But Qianlong said, she made a mistake. Her funeral should follow the regulations for a noble consort. Furthermore, he bypassed the Ministry of Rites and had the inner palace manage her funeral casually, forbidding ceremonies and a posthumous title. Nala's coffin was ultimately placed in Pure Kindness Noble Consort's tomb, without a separate resting place of her own. Imagine, the woman who once stood at the highest point in the imperial harem was left without even a proper gravesite in the end. This fate is truly lamentable. This way of handling the matter really feels somewhat cold and heartless. Nala was, after all, Empress and the mother of Qianlong's children. Even if she made a mess, did it warrant this? Meanwhile, rumors circulated in the court and among the people. Some say Qianlong discarded the old in favor of the new, and fell for someone else. Others say Nala was too strong-willed. Qianlong was weary of the controversy. Some historical experts have commented that Nala's fate is truly a tragedy. From an ordinary girl to empress, it was her discipline and patience that kept her there. In her early years, she quietly lived in Fucha's shadow, suffering many grievances. Later, just when there was some affection growing between her and Qianlong, and children were born, a puzzling incident brought about her downfall. Qianlong certainly had affection for her, otherwise he would not have chosen her as empress in the first place, but his subsequent treatment was undeniably cold. If Nala had the opportunity to look back on her life, what would she think? This is the History and Culture channel. Liking and subscribing are the greatest help and support to us. Thank you everyone and see you in the next time.